What's going on, guys? It is MadMan Plant. We are back here at Fire on the Mountain, and it is a great event. Already smoked a bunch of joints, and the place just keeps filling up. And there's some really great people that are going to be on the podcast. One of them is Mountain High Seltzer, and I have Joe right here, the owner. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, too. Try to speak a little bit closer into the mic so people can hear you.
I got it.
So you're a Virginia native.
Yes, sir.
And you created a seltzer that is federally legal.
Yes, and also state legal because Virginia has laws that are a little stricter than the feds right now with a 25-to-1 ratio or 2 milligrams per can, which is what we work on today. We started in around May. Currently, we have about 30 locations, maybe more. We're just trying to push it across the state. We are one of the first two that has both Department of Agriculture approval in Virginia, and recently we had a nod from ABC being a legal non-alcoholic alternative for restaurants across the state.
Perfect. Now, what about seltzer do you love personally? Because I personally love seltzer because I drink it all the time, usually plain.
Right. Well, for me, I like the seltzer. I'm not a big beer drinker anymore, and that's kind of one of the reasons I started to make this beverage, make this product, is I wanted to have an alternative, for people who don't want to drink alcohol anymore. It's light, it's refreshing to me. I could drink it in the summertime. I do a lot of big festivals, and so, beers and other drinks tend to be a little heavy, a little hard to deal with when it's like 98 degrees outside, and the seltzer is nice and light and refreshing to kind of keep you going through the day. That's my main reason for wanting to make it in the first place. And, for me here in Virginia, and we are at a, cannabis festival or a cannabis event here, and I kind of specialize in marijuana light, if you will. So I like doing things that are a little bit lower of a dose for people, beginners, older folks that want to get involved in cannabis. They can start with this 2 milligram, which does have an effect. It is light. It is airy. We lovingly call it the soccer mom drink, which my wife came up with. It's awesome.
That's fun.
And we've been, moving pretty good with it so far. We have some plans for new flavors coming in the future. Once we get going a little bit more, like I said, we just started. And that's it for now. Yeah.
Nice.
Seltzer anyway. So
yeah. Well, let me go ahead and try one out here. So this is the lemon lime.
Yep.
And then talk a little bit about the design and the colors and how you choose flavor here.
So what we did, since the seltzers weren't really weren't a thing anyway at all in Virginia in terms of cannabis, we wanted to start with a couple flavors that we thought a lot of people would like. That was easy. So a wild berry was the first one that we ever did. A nice mix of boysenberry, raspberry, blueberry, to give you a nice even kind of feel or an even kind of flavor. There's a lot of companies out there today that are just seltzers, and they are a little light on flavor. What we did here is we tried to add more flavor to it, so the lemon lime is a lemon lime, the wild berry is a wild berry. It's flavorful, but it's still only 30 calories and 6 grams of sugar because I need to keep my girlish figure. There's that. So
why is it always the guys that are worried about their figure? I've met so many women who just don't give a fuck anymore, especially as a photographer. People are always the guys. I had a realtor who was like, "You cannot make me look fat," and I'm like, "Really, bro? You're not even fat."
Well, for me, it's really not the girl's figure. I call this a love cushion. It gives me that extra quarter inch when I really need it.
There you go. The extra quarter inch when you need it. All right, so let's talk about this here. So this is lemon lime. Is there anything special about like the infusal process or like the lemon lime that's actually in this? So
the lemon lime is all natural flavors. It's no GMO. It's organic. It is fruit pulp based that we add to the beverage. The THC itself is with an emulsifier. It's a isolate THC. There is a little bit of CBD in it as well to kind of deal with any of the laws here in the state of Virginia and elsewhere if we want to ship it, which we do. There's like 4 ingredients in it. I have it made locally in Virginia at a small nano brewery microbrewery, I guess, down in Lynchburg, Virginia. And so we are born in the Blue Ridge, like it says on the can.
Now, one thing cool about this is it has only 30 calories. So this is good for people that are really trying to like get into shape or very focused on what their intake is. Yep. And then also low on sugars. It's a little bit different, when I open the can and I drink it, I expect a little bit more of a heavier carbonation.
Yep.
But it's not. It's a more on the lighter side.
And it's interesting you say that. So when the first batch we ever made was actually lighter in carbonation. I'm a big carbonation guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put it in a seltzer. But it's weird. It seems like a lot of times, especially in these tall, skinny cans, getting it highly, highly carbonated is a little difficult to do. We get it up there pretty high when it comes out of the tanks to get it in the cans at a higher carbonation level, but it still settles out when it sits in that can for a little bit. Right now I do about 300 cases a month, and we go through them every month.
Now, one thing I do like about this is the flavor, even though you're adding like lemon lime, and I haven't tasted wild berry yet, but with the lemon lime that I do like is it's not overpowering. It doesn't have like that like citrusy like
Right.
overdone, like they put too much concentrate into it, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's too much. Right. Exactly. And that's why I wanted to
It's
middle
more
of the
of a
road.
very mild,
Right.
kind of smooth drink where it kind of like it's very neutralized in some aspects.
Right, and it's not like a standard seltzer. I don't want to name a company, but like a standard seltzer where this has a little bit more flavor, but
Yep.
not over the top flavor where you're like, whoa, it's a lemon lime. Like I don't want to do that to anybody either. It is a good mixer. If you'd like to put something else in there, you can. It's wonderful with some alcohol beverages as well. Some people like that. I'll do that on a Saturday night, maybe a little shot of vodka in there or something. They're really nice.
Oh, that's
But
actually kind of cool.
It's really nice. And with that low dose of THC that you have, the feeling you get from the alcohol and cannabis mix is different. It's really nice. It's very light. And again, that's what we do. That's what I do for a company. I specialize. I call myself like the Bud Light of cannabis, if you will, here in Virginia. I like doing light beverages for people, again, for beginners and older folks to get back into the cannabis world or to try for the first time.
So we have hemp fused,
Yep.
fast acting, feel good vibes, non-alcoholic, relaxing and uplifting without the hangover, which is very important.
Yeah,
For a lot
no
of people.
hangover at all.
All natural flavors, low calories, may not be sold to persons younger than 21.
That's Virginia law as well,
Yep.
which is fine. I have no problem with that one.
And then talk a little bit about like the concept, like is there any like with the logo and everything?
Well, we live here in the Blue Ridge. I live right over the mountain here in Crozet. So we
Yep.
live at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's why on the top of the can it says born on the Blue Ridge or born in the Blue Ridge. And so the can itself is just a depiction of where we live. You have the angled mountains. Now, yes, this is the East Coast, so we have round mountains, but close enough. And mountain high is just, I live 1,000 feet above sea level. So mountain high is where we are. It just seemed like a great name to have for the beverage. And the mountains, we wanted to do something that was bright and catch your eye. And the colors you were asking before, lemon lime, green and yellow. Wild berry, blue and purple, kind of like try to match the label itself with the flavor in the can. In the future, we're going to probably do more of a citrus one. We're not sure what yet. And that'll be more like an orange or yellow kind of can or something like that. Trying to follow through with what we're doing.
If you can find a good mango.
That's actually one of the top choices I have right now. Mango, pineapple,
I love mango.
something like that.
Yeah. Like that.
Yep, absolutely.
But, yellow, orange fruit.
Yep. And again, I really like it, man. Like I'm 53, so I don't want to drink as much anymore. I really don't, not alcohol. So these are nice, refreshing alternative.
I drink one. I try every once in a while. I was on a kick for a minute for one glass of wine, at night for your heart health.
Yeah.
But I've kind of fallen away. My thing is, and like you, I'm sure, obviously, I love to smoke.
Yeah.
That is my thing. Like
I do too.
I will take that over anything. No beer, no problem.
Oh yeah, no problem at all.
Weed,
I'm good.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I'm definitely a user of regular cannabis,
Same.
Heavy or whatever as well. And with edibles, just one other thing about this beverage being that fast acting. I have gummies through my company as well and stuff like that, but they take so long to hit.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that kind of messed up their day. They're like, "Oh, I want to try this," and then in an hour, like, "Oh shit, I got something to do," and it took that long to hit them. But this fast acting kind of stuff, it seems to be a little bit more well received, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of people here have been drinking them today. I have them on ice, so you can pick one up and walk around with it. And again, drinking one of these, you're not inebriated in any way. You're totally fine. You get that nice, light, euphoric, heavy-headed kind of high feeling. Like I got it right now. I've had 2 today, so I'm on my way.
There you go.
And yeah, so they are. I'm really happy with the product and what we've done. I have a lot of passion in what I do. Again, going back to that low dose, I like low dose. I like low dose edibles. My analogy to a lot of people, and not to upset anybody who likes strong edibles, I like them sometimes too. But if you make a cookie this big and it's the most beautiful cookie in the world, I want to eat the whole cookie. But if it's 1,000 milligrams, my ass is done for 5 days. I can't function like that. So for me, I like them light. I would always, my personal preference is to have a bag of edibles, like a bag of 10 cookies, or you know what I mean? And I can eat as many little ones as I want, because I want to eat the whole thing to get to the level that I want to be. One of our motto for our company is we want you to find your dose, not the dose to find you, is what we go by with a lot of older people that we deal with. Because again, I don't want to scare anybody away. I want them to bring them into the cannabis world, not freak them out right out of the gate.
Well, I think too, and I think it helps build trust with the actual cannabis plant, the product, and then the experiences, because I'm sure a lot of people, especially new users, and they show up to our classes more than the people in the real, community. But, a lot of people who are just getting into it, they're bridging a gap already by trying something new.
Yeah.
And to be able to offer them something very light that says, hey, this would be extremely comfortable for you. Nobody wants to get freaked out their first time and then ruin their experience.
And then never come back. Right.
And I think that could really help with the older market, especially, in the future. Maybe you could even think about trying to get something like this into like nursing homes. Or
that's
other,
something we
like,
do. We look at that now. Wellness centers. I don't just go for CBD shops with this beverage. I try to find other places.
Exactly.
I found that art festivals, nonprofits,
maybe, depending on some situations,
elder care places. And again, I think with having a low dose product, not just my seltzer, but any product that any of us all in this industry can make, is a nice nod to the government as well. You know what I mean? Because if everybody's pushing stuff that's super hard, all that's going to happen is they're going to come after us more. But I think if a portion of the industry can show, hey, we can make a light beverage that is conducive to a lot of people, and it's light and it's not harmful. I know none of it's harmful, but you get my point. Something lighter, I think that gives them a little bit of a better feeling about how cannabis law reform should be in the future as it is. Hey, we can do some light stuff and heavy stuff. You can have a Bud Light and an IPA that's 9% alcohol, like the same thing in cannabis as well. There's room at the table for everybody to eat, regardless of what concentration or what kind of product you're making. I do think that a lot of us, I would like to see more of the industry working together than apart. Is what I'd like to see. 100%. I mean, again, me being more of a hemp-based kind of guy with these drinks, that's what I have to do here in Virginia. It's all the same stuff. We just have to work together to make it better. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I see this. You could, have the ability to, I think too, where you could start partnering, hopefully in the future, with medical type situations where I see this be given to people that are going through chemo, where they have to sit in a chair for an hour, right, and they're already kind of stressed out. This is a nice way for them to kind of relax. They can sip on this. It's carbonated.
It's also great for sleep. A lot of people have come back to me. I've actually had a couple different groups of people with different things. Like some have said they use this as a replacement for alcohol, and it had them lose weight. I don't know how much weight, but weight. And then a lot of other ones are like, I'm really stressed out at the end of my day. I'll drink one of these a half hour after dinner before bed. I'm out like a light. I sleep a lot better, because we all know that cannabis is a wonderful thing to use for sleep and anti-anxiety and that kind of thing. And again, that's, I have a history of anxiety myself, which is how I got into cannabis in the first place. So that's kind of my thing.
No, I love that. It's all driven by passion. You spoke about that earlier, and that's what you have to have. And that's what I have with my podcast and trying to, what I do with the community and talking and everything, is you have to have a love for it. And when you're serving an internal purpose, like you're trying to find a beverage as you're getting older that, you like, that's good, that, that promotes wellness, blah, 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 you have a bigger sense of drive. It's not just going out here, white labeling something, and you're in it because your buddy did it, and he was successful, so now you want to get into it. And that's what I love about small and craft business, is you get to see that. On the higher scale levels, I think it comes a little bit more desensitized when it comes to markets and demographics, because you're having to fit like an average. When you're small batch like you are, I feel like you just like the other guy I was talking to, you are able to cater to a market and help really solve a problem. Actually, I was talking to Lawless right over there.
Oh yeah,
I know them. Yeah, exactly. And I just love that approach, because that's the way we educate. That's the way we get people introduced to things, and then that's the ultimate way. This, like the logo, is breaking the stigma.
Right, breaking the stigma is the important thing. Like I've volunteered here a couple of years. I've lived in Charlottesville, where I live now, for about 18 years. I did a couple classes at the community college for cannabis to kind of, again, to normalize cannabis to people. I've done classes where I was doing consulting for farmers on how to grow female plants for CBD, and I had the public come out and kind of check out how we were doing things and that kind of thing. And I think it's a really good point to continue to educate people and kind of show them that there are different sides of every industry. There are
100%.
Everybody has a place here, that kind of thing. And I do think that's really important. And that's what I drive everything. So it's just, I want more people to understand what we do and that we're here to help, more than anything else. I'd rather drink that drink than take some kind of medication. So,
well, and that's the thing.
For certain things. So.
that's their alternative. Oh, here, take these pills.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. And we see it all the time. I was talking to a guy who used to work for the CIA and Interpol, got stomach cancer, and then the guy went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Hey, we could put you on 15 medications in about 15 years. Um, you might need a new liver, or you could smoke weed and probably have the same results."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I actually know people here in this area that have used cannabis for different ailments where it worked way better than the pharmaceutical drug that they had. Does that work every time? No. A pharmaceutical is terrible for everybody? Nope, not saying that either.
No,
but there is, but again, just like the room at the table thing, I think when you're talking about medicine in general, there is room for both parties to join together to maybe have a better way of treating people for certain things. I mean, who knows? We're learning now. So, I mean,
Well, it's like, I hate to rain the party, but in my opinion, until they're okay with other factors making money and being able to
you're not wrong.
Different
Absolutely.
ways,
yeah,
I don't think it's ever going to be 100% go for it, guys.
No, and I think you're right there, but I do think that there is a pathway in the future to get closer to that.
Yeah,
where there is a mixture of different
I think just like craft breweries and like making alcohol out of your basement, for instance. You pay a tax.
Yeah.
That tax allows you to do X, Y, Z, allow you to have, whatever materials you need.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they're getting their money, that's what the whole gripe was about, right? It was about somebody, getting paid
all the way up the chain. Absolutely. Yeah. But there's also with that is the whole thing about regulation. So I personally, I don't mind regulation. I don't. I think regulation's okay. It's just that there are levels. You don't want it here where only the corporations can deal with it. You don't want it down here where every Yahoo in the world can do it. You want it right here in the middle. If you're serious about what you're doing and you want to be involved, you can hurdle this regulation. You can do this regulation, but it's fair, it's equitable for everybody, and it works.
But when you're doing like buy-ins for licenses of ridiculous amounts of millions that the average person does not usually have access to.
It's ridiculous.
I feel like we were just talking about is we need to bring it from up here and realize that most of the people are going to be your people that live in rural areas who grow cannabis, and they're sharing it with their 80-year-old neighbor, and that neighbor's fighting cancer.
So they use a couple grand of their own money to make the products they make to sell to people. They don't have $1 million in the bank to kind of get to. Absolutely.
Like if Janie can go down and sell apples at her driveway, she should be able to sell her fresh cannabis plants.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It should be okay.
I mean, it's a plant.
Go out to the country and find some really good weed, that day. It's like some apples or some tomatoes or something.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, no way. In thought, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. Only the fact that I'm a realist and I'm a business owner, and I know that at the end of the day, somebody has to get paid, and usually there's a hierarchy to that. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And that can also be good and bad because it can also prevent or allow. And I think in different arenas, we see the good and then we see the bad. But I think most people, I don't think, are becoming El Chapos selling weed at their driveway.
They're not.
Living in Ferraris and stuff like that.
There's plenty of decent people on earth to do it the
correct way. Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100% too. I think that there's a stigma against, it's this dark and whatever. It's not. It's not how it is. It's not.
No, the plant's actually green.
Yeah,
and bright.
Right. Yeah.
So it can't be dark.
That's awesome. But so I mean, that's our story. I mean, we're gonna keep pushing. We're always looking for people to sell the beverage for us. I'm really trying to be a forerunner in this industry here in Virginia. Our laws are different. Some of our state agencies are passing bills that make this a little difficult for the small business owner to be involved in. But we are continuing to work with them, or try to work with them if we can, to make everything fair that we can do what we do.
I think that's why, in the day, regardless of regulation or where we are, it's important to dream. It's important to be creative. It's important to create products like this.
Yeah.
Because it helps fight the stigma, and it's just one more chop in the tree before the tree comes down.
You're right.
What it is.
And that's a good analogy to use, I think, because that's what this is. We keep chopping at that tree until we can get all the way through, and then everybody understands, or more, a majority understand, and, go from there. But yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I think so too. Like for instance, when we were at what event was it? Okay, so each year we go, except for this year, I won't be able to make the Cowboy Cup because I'm closing on my house the same day
Oh,
and the weekend is, and I want to be there for the first time I buy my first house.
of course.
So
I understand that.
It's a bittersweet because I really wanted to go because I was slated to speak at the Cowboy Cup,
Right.
and a bunch of other stuff, but I think at the end of the day, what we have to realize. Oh man, now I lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with this.
That's okay. Well,
congratulations
congratulations on the house, though.
Oh, thank you, by the way.
And I'll tell you, like, I live out in the woods here, about 30 minutes from where we are right now, and I have a little cottage out back called the Canna Cottage or the Hemp House. It's on Airbnb, so you come out. We have a cannabis menu you can check out. It's a little 8x12 shack out in the woods behind my house. We're right next to the AT. It's been really cool. I've met a lot of great people from the industry and elsewhere, all over the country, really, that come through this little place. It's a super cool spot to be in. And again, I guess I'm saying that because it's part of this whole culture of sharing with people and getting them involved. And I get a lot of questions. I grow my 4 plants I can grow here in Virginia. People always come out and they're like, hey, can you tell us what you're doing to grow it? How do you trim it? How do you do this? And I mean, we all know there's a million different ways to do everything.
Oh.
What soil you're using, how you trim it, how you train it. Everybody does their own thing in their own way. And it's really interesting to listen to people, what they have to say, and to be able to teach them how to do it as well. Again, to break the stigma, like you say. We keep going back to the same thing about the stigma, but I think that is a really important thing.
Oh, 100%. And we were talking about, without that, it just becomes a mute item.
Yeah.
And we can't be quiet. The voices, the people, and that's why it's so important. Oh, that's where I was getting to, is the fact that more and more people are getting open to it. And I bet even law enforcement, whether they want to admit it, when they do these situations. Oh, that's what I was talking about. And this ties into law enforcement, is when we were at the Cowboy Cup last year,
right, yeah.
They had heavy police enforcement, like SRT teams and everything, like the zip lock, handcuffs.
Yep.
And they thought they didn't know what to expect because it was just such a big event. And they actually came up to the owners, Daniel and Greg, good friends of mine, and they said, we just want to let you know how awesome of an event this was. And we over planned and we didn't need any of it.
Right.
And they were like, we would love to provide security for your next event. Even the goers would talk to the cops, they would interact. And it was that peaceful exchange, and that's what the future is.
Well, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought this up. So I do a lot of big area festivals in Virginia, a lot of music festivals and stuff. And there's always a police presence at all of them. And I do big events in North Carolina, too, with my Seltzer.
We need to talk, because I just held my very first event.
Oh, yeah, man.
Where we had almost 400 people, did 420 pounds of meat for free. 804 was a part of that. We cooked the meat overnight, drove there. Oh, yeah. The attendance was free.
I do a lot of events in Virginia. So.
We raised $2,600 for breast cancer.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And then we had public speakers from mental health, breast cancer.
That right there is dropping that stigma. Bring in the professionals. Yeah. Bring in the nurses. What I was saying, what you're saying about law enforcement is I make it a point anywhere I go. Like I went to North Carolina with my Virginia beverage, and when I was there, it's Bluegrass Island, which is near the Outer Banks. Okay. And we were down there, and the first thing I did, I saw the police officers like, hey, can you come here a minute? And I asked them about the products I had. I said, are these legitimate here in the state? And he looked at everything, and even that can, he's like, well, the can, he's like, I love the idea that you're doing here. You're not supposed to have this one thing on it. He's like, give me your number, and I'll call, and I'll let you know later this week. And lo and behold, a couple days later, North Carolina police officer called me on the phone and was like, hey, Joe, I checked on the label for you as promised, and here's what I found. And what I'm getting at is I try to bring in law enforcement no matter where I go, to introduce myself, say, hey, if you need me, let me know. If there's something you don't like here, let me know, to kind of get a jump on the situation, instead of what historically has happened with a lot of us is we hide in a corner like, uh-oh, the cops are here kind of thing. But instead of doing that, be more inviting when you 100%. Can, obviously. So, when you can, to try to bring them in and show them again that we're here to work for you. Thank you for being here for our security, stuff like that. I mean, there's a nice, in my opinion, there's 100,000 ways I can tell you something, and only 2 that you're going to actually know that I said it. You know what I mean? Like, just how you deliver what you say is how it works. And so I'm a huge proponent of, like you said, talking to the police and being like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how we do it, to again try to get that normalization across the board. So
yeah, it's like once they're okay, it's like you can just kind of fly under the radar, and just do your thing.
Yep. And like where I live in Charlottesville, the cops are all good. They're all cool. All other counties, maybe not. It just depends on where you go, which is kind of difficult to
Yeah.
deal with because in one county everything's cool. You go to the next county, you're like, it just depends. So hopefully, again, that's what that normalization push is for,
It
is
all
to fix that
depends
kind of
if
problem.
the police own the jail.
Well, that's a good point. I don't want to see one of those, so we're good. So
Yeah, right.
I'm all right.
Well, guys, we got more podcasts coming up. How do people find you and support this great seltzer?
Thanks, man. So you can see it. We're on Instagram at mountainhighseltzer.com. We're also, or just Mountain High Seltzer on Instagram. You can go to mountainhighseltzer.com. We do subscriptions. We ship a 4-pack up to a case. We can mix them together. New flavors are coming out. We have a lot of sales this weekend for the holidays.
Perfect.
You can reach us at info@mountainhighseltzer.com if you're interested in having us in your store. And hope to see y'all out there one of these days. And let's all keep on going.
Guys, perfect. And make sure you guys check them out. We got more podcasts coming up here at Fire on the Mountain in Fisherville, Virginia. We'll see you guys real soon.